Good morning. Yeah, birds are doing what it does. Likes to go under those bushes. It's a beautiful day out here. Still February. A little bit cool, 35, but it feels like spring is on the way. I'm going to call those Brewster's Rocks from now on. Those big boulders. Oh, looks like he wants to go check them out again. Okay. This is somebody's yard, buddy. I was looking at those boulders the other day and thinking about how interesting it would be to go back in time to see just when they arrived. I'm guessing sometime during the last glaciation period. And afterwards I got home and I thought, I wonder what it would have looked like before the last glacial period. I mean, the glaciers are, or were, a mild, high sheet of ice, 1,000 miles wide, 1,000 miles deep, driven down from Canada, that just scoured all the topsoil, anything living, just scoured everything away, pushed the landscape out to the Atlantic Ocean. Connecticut is basically granite with a thin layer of topsoil that's developed over the last 10 or 15,000 years on top of that granite. What would this state have looked like before that glacial period, before that happened? Okay, we're going the wrong way, buddy. Wrong way, buddy. Huh, Brewster says, I don't care. I got a sniff of something. Okay, easy. Stay there. We might have been the most rich, fertile area on the planet Earth before that last glacial period. Who knows? All the rocks that have been shoved down here from Canada would have stayed in Canada. I wonder what the place would have looked like. That's going to be a problem. Okay, stay there. Stay. Oh boy. Okay. Not a human anywhere. I think most humans at that time had not even made it out of Africa. 100,000 years ago. 120,000 years ago, maybe. What would it have looked like? I wonder how many humans were even on the planet Earth at that time. Think about it. No humans had reached the Western Hemisphere. North America, South America wouldn't have humans for another 75 or 100,000 years. Homo sapiens as a species, I think, are only 100 or maybe 200,000 years old. But Neanderthals a little older, so at that point, 100,000 years ago, it's kind of interesting to think there may have been two human species walking around, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. All right, easy, buddy. wonder if one, meaning Neanderthals, was more popular at that time. No, come around this way. I wonder how you could track that. I mean, how you could figure out how many humans existed on the planet Earth 100,000 years ago. How many humans existed on the planet Earth 100,000 years ago? How would you figure that out? Bunch of blue jays making quite a racket. I wonder how you could figure that out. I mean, settlements? What would you do? Homo sapiens hadn't left Africa yet, so you're confined to that one continent 100,000 years ago. How many were there? That's a hard question to figure out. Oh, that's not good. Let's look over here. I suppose if you could find a tribe in the jungle or some really remote place, hunter-gatherers, you might have been able to do this 100 years ago when such a people existed. No contact. No, go straight. No, go straight. No contact with modern humans ever. If you could find a culture at a very primitive technological level, all right. Maybe they'd mastered fire, the bow and arrow. And you could figure out how many people a settlement could support. You might be able to calculate a size or a population per square mile, I suppose. But then you'd have to take some of that technology away. 100,000 years ago, did they have a bow and arrow? I doubt it. Not even a doubt. I'm not sure when the bow and arrow was invented, but it certainly wasn't back then. A spear? I don't think spear points came along for a long time. Maybe a stone cutting tool. Wow, so you'd have to take away technology, make a smaller settlement size, and then calculate. Yeah, that's a tough problem. How else could you figure it out? Bone fossil records? I know there's something called mitochondrial DNA, which people acquire from their mother. I guess it's only somehow passed on maternally. And there's a way to trace that back to what they call the mitochondrial Eve, a woman that lived in Africa something like 150,000 years ago, who is genetically linked to every human being on the planet Earth today. I don't know if that would help you figure out how many people were alive, though. Maybe. That's an interesting question. How many people were alive on the planet Earth, say 150 or 100,000 years ago? And then, maybe an even more interesting question, how many were Neanderthals and how many were Homo sapiens? two species of humans out there. I find that kind of interesting. Now, I did hear at one point that there was some interbreeding that happened. You don't think of it, but it did occur, so that we all have a little Neanderthal blood in us too. And I heard that red hair might have come from Neanderthals. The red hair gene. I have a friend. He's got red hair. He's an attorney. He likes to think about himself as the smartest guy in the room. He's a great guy. But he does have that kind of air of confidence, air of superiority. So years ago when I learned this, that the red hair gene might be linked to Neanderthal DNA, I immediately emailed him. You got a little Neanderthal in you, buddy. I don't think he responded. He takes that sort of thing very seriously. I'd like to go back and see the Earth, though, at a much earlier time, without much human influence. Just see what nature really looked like. Not that I'm a misanthrope, not that I'm against humanity, but I would love to see the planet Earth with little or no human impact. Just wonder what it would be like. The beauty of the environment, the quiet. Your senses, I'm sure, would just come alive. You wouldn't hear any sound that wasn't animal or wind or maybe falling water. Just give me that time machine for 1 or 2 days. And then I'd probably need some sort of inoculation against just suppose there was some general inoculation that would prevent you from getting any possible disease. You'd need that. Who knows what you'd run into 100,000 years ago. Just let me go back for a day or two, see what it was like. I think it would be fascinating. I think it might be more fascinating than going into the future. The future seems like it's just going to get uglier and uglier, more and more crowded. I somehow don't find it too appealing. People are interesting, so you're going to find a lot of interesting people in the future, but the general lay of the land, I don't know. I think it's going to get uglier and uglier and uglier, more and more chaotic. Just a thought. Just a thought while I'm walking my dog, while I'm walking Brewster on Waggy Dog. Look at him, so happy.